All right, if there's a mortgage. But if you accepted the mortgage within 72 hours and converted it into an allodial title, now you can claim ownership. But you have to go prior to 1913. Now you understand what Raleigh did again? Yes. See, if you understand this, put it this way, and I understand it and I comprehend it because people lack information and they've been distracted. But they have no idea what Raleigh did, most people. Really, we're not talking about, it's not that they don't appreciate him in general, but they really don't comprehend what he did and why he did it. So I'm telling you why he did it. I'm giving you documents so that you can see for yourself. Now it becomes your cause. Are we clear? Because it's your estate. Now you can do what you will, but you can't say that you ain't been told, because I'm showing documents and I'm breaking it down. If you don't act on it and they come take your stuff and leave you with sneaks, I don't have to take that any further. Do you understand? You've abandoned your estate. What I'm saying is don't abandon your estate. Are we clear? Now then, when you do the private trust, when there's a controversy or an issue in relationship to that estate, then you introduce into the record as an evidence the cover sheet showing the existence of the trust. And it's a private international trust, therefore you're not obligated to reveal it into the public record other than put them on notice. Now they must go through the fiduciary, which is you. Now they can't do an ex parte. Are we clear? Is that complex?
Okay, you're saying do a trust.
Yeah.
Say for example,
put a lien on it.
Okay.
Mindful there are other questions too.
Wait a minute. Do a trust and put a lien on it.
On all your work and all of your labor from the time of the inception of you entering into that operation.
Okay, do a trust.
Businesses too, put it on trust. You know what Europeans do? You know what they say and they do? Own nothing, control everything. What they're really talking about is the principle of trust.
Right.
This is why you see European families, they develop what is loosely referred to as old money. And our people never develop what is called old money.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Although that's a misused term, is because their stuff is not in trust. And their stuff is already held under wardship tenures. And they're so busy dealing with belief systems that the Skull and Bones member called Reverend is selling them with the marching civil rights stuff. They don't even know what they're dealing with, and that everything operates under trust and under commercial auspices, because the United States Service Corporation deals with human trafficking. This is where the commerce issue comes in, and the conversion of the private into the public platform. You need to understand what they did to be thinking. You understand? So you don't have the political tools because they disallowed them, but you can certainly use your intelligence. And so we're giving you the information, and so that you can go ahead and do what? Apply that knowledge. So they're in what you call acute commercial administrative breach of trust. Are we clear? But if you don't talk like an heir, you ain't an heir, are you? And if you start talking about money, they're really talking about an estate. But if they get you talk about money, you go off the point. You see the point? You don't apply for the trust.
That's basically what I was going to ask. When you create the trust,
let's look at this. I want you all to see this. I want you to see this. This is in the reversional article. 12, United States Code, right? Subsection 95A, regulation of transactions in foreign exchange of gold and silver property transfers, vested interests, enforcement and penalties, right? Part 2, current through Public Law 113-163, the public laws for the current Congress. Any payment, conveyance, transfer, assignment, or delivery of property or interest therein made to or for the account of the United States or as otherwise directed pursuant to this section or any rule, regulation, or instruction or direction issued hereunder shall, to the extent thereof, be a full acquittance and discharge for all purposes of the obligation of the person making the same, and no person shall be held liable in any court for or in respect to anything done or omitted in good faith in connection with the administration of or in pursuance of and in reliance on this section or any rule, regulation, direction issued hereunder, pardon me. In other words, the debt that they're alleging belongs to the United States, not to you. And for them alleging to so-called represent you, what they're supposed to do under that straw is to discharge your debt since they claim to be the fiduciary. So are you in national debt? No. All right, they've been converting their private debt on a national platform, pretending to be government. That's the argument of the public-private. Are we clear?
Clear.
Are we clear?
Clear.
All right.
Can you go back just 1 second?
Say again?
To the public law 113 current Congress.
I think this on your flash
I
drive.
think I have it,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, he gave it.
well, you got it. You don't have to write that, you already got it.
I just want to.
Yeah. Yeah, you already got that.
It's so much. Like,
This basic stuff, you already know abundance. You've been doing this for years.
yeah, but I took a break, so.
It's just a reminder for us not to forget why we do what we do.
But the reason
You
why
understand what I'm saying?
I have the same question that he did because I'm in a different place than I was 5 years ago. Like, I'm a whole different, like, I'm in a whole different ballpark as far as Federal Reserve notes and what I've done with my entity structure.
Yeah.
So it's different when you just like pushing paperwork and selling shea butter at King Simon lectures. It's different.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on the riverfront now. I'm trying to open up stores in every state. So it's different. So
Yeah.
I'm really trying
But
to.
you still,
Yeah.
this is what you want to do. You do what you call a trust copyright you name your business and then you put that in trust. And then you become an administrator
Okay, I've done that.
in that you're not the owner.
Right,
But you become a caretaker or a steward.
right.
And of course,
I'm the authorized representative of that.
exactly, but you already know, in order to even claim that, you must be in propria persona.
I got that.
In common language, it's called, you must be yourself.
Right.
And if challenged, you must be. But you already know our people ain't Smith, Jones, and Johnson, they ain't Negro, Black, and Color. So if they claim that,
Right.
in Indian, they come under Indian affairs, and of course they got jurisdiction. That's why they've been selling these Indians so-called property and taking their casinos and everything after they let them build all that stuff up. You know the guy played in 300?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, he died. Yeah, well, he's called me all the time. He was the chief of the Navajo, all the tribes out in the West. They claim their Moorish nationality. They dropping all them treaties with the U.S. But they play the game too. It's like they played Indian all this time and got trapped. Because they ain't Indians either. Ain't no such damn thing. Just like they ain't no such thing as Negro, Black, and Color. They thought they were going to be some sovereignty. Now they start taking their casinos and stuff. Now they want to be the bloodline. See, but they're indigenous. We're Aboriginal. We're the firstborn. You see the whole game? Well, it is what it is. But we getting there. But we got to make sure that the youth have this because most of the adults are corrupted and compromised. So if we give them reference, documents, they have stuff to work with. Again, which you already know. That's why we give this stuff to you on flash drive so you can have reference.
The trust operate internationally if we do that on the record, like here.
Yeah, you just put the cover sheet, you put them on notice. See, because they're assuming that, which rightfully so, that most of our people don't know this, and most of these people think that they can buy packages and claim heirship, UCCs, financial statement, authentication of birth certificate. These are all traps to get them off the hook for future reparation suits. Because anything created in color remains in color. You cannot take a colored instrument and then make it de jure. It can never be de jure. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you already understand that gives them time to kick the can down the road, if you get the whole point. Yeah, void ab initio. From its inception. But people keep falling for it though. Now they're gonna give me, if I bite this red candy apple and stuff, it's the good ones too. That's the apples with the spots on them. That's why they dip them. They say these are good apple. You understand what I'm saying? The red covers up them brown spots all over the ones that they can't sell. Yes. Give him the mic. I want this on the mic.
I did want to remind you, I think. Okay.
Oh, Taj, I wanted to ask,
Go ahead.
upon the creation of the trust, is that trust sent to the Bank of International Settlements, or how is it handled?
Say, no, that's
He's like, slow down.
that's the United States Corporation, IMF, Federal Reserve, and international settlements. What that is a fund they put aside with more derivative notes to satisfy the banks that go under as people start getting hit and start pulling their stuff out. And what that is, they're covered. So that's derivatives on derivatives. Don't do anything with them. You only put them on notice about anything. Once you seek a benefit, the promise of a benefit, you just let them off the hook. See, what they need you to do, and that's plural, is any of these processes that they put out, whether HMOs, site drafts, UCCs, financial statements, authentication of the birth certificate, if you seek a benefit, you authorized it. At that time, in the future, you have no suit because you sought to get a benefit in what you should have declared as fraud and breach of trust and sued them in their private capacity because they're really private operators pretending to be government, converting your private assets onto the public venue under the guise of sovereign government, and you approach them from that perspective and then apply for a benefit within that platform. It's colored. But it sounds good though.
Brother, I said that.
If that peanut butter sandwiches on rye too. You know, and people keep falling for it. But anyway, give Grand Chief the mic.
So, could you speak on Puerto Rico?
Puerto Rico is where they set up after Lincoln bankrupted the United States Corporation Service Company. Let's keep this in mind. United States Service Corporation was set up by Benjamin Franklin in 1754 to deal with the service contracts under government powers under Westminster and the Popes of Rome of the Western Hemisphere that was being disillusioned gradually, i.e. the fall of what they call the Old World into the hands of the Constantinians under the Christian doctrine. So in history, they'll call it Old World, New World. So when they say Old World, they talk about the Moorish Empire. New World, Constantine order under the Jesuits called Christianity. Conversion to the Roman Germanic tribes, the Dutch masters. All right, this is the fact history. Are we clear? All right. Now, by fatwa or Moorish law, because the American Constitution, Al-Moroccan Constitution, American Al-Moroccan Constitution, the Constitution comes from American law or Moorish law or Muslim law. This is what Obama was talking about when he spoke before the delegates in Egypt. All right? Now, by Muslim law or fatwa, a member of the barristers of England or its branch in the Western Hemisphere could not hold office under the United States because they're actually deputy knights for the Pope to undermine the republics, which is why I gave you the congressional records, you can see it. So that's the original article of Amendment 13 that they suppressed with its 20 sections. All right. It's called 1320. All right. This is why they don't expose that. And this is why a lot of Grand Chiefs who really work for them will not expose that to Moors. Because they want them to agree to be U.S. citizens, which makes them 14th Amendment, which the Prophet warned them about in the Divine Warning. See? Because they already knew they was going to pull this back. Now, keep this in mind. Lincoln could not run for office by fatwa. So what they did, they ran him on the United States service platform registered in France that had the 19, what is called the enumerating powers. You can check this up in the congressional records. To control the service powers for the Republic. Because he could not lawfully hold the seat of the president through presidency or the praetorship through normal process of constitution. Are we clear? Upon short order, Lincoln recognized that they were using him to undermine the Republic. All right? He bankrupted that United States corporate company. And this is also why you see in the Dundee case why they always called him Africanus I. Because he kept doing things in favor of the Moors. But you already knew his grandfather, you already knew the deal. But let's just stay focused. So they ran him on that platform. He killed that platform, 1860. March the 27th, 1861, the Congress did a coup d'etat, which they call sine die. Right? May the 10th, they stopped publishing the, I think, the 13th Amendment. They start removing that. The organic 13th Amendment, that is directly related to the coup d'etat. So he crashed that one. Of course, they killed Lincoln later, closed the Freedmen's Bureau, created the 14th Amendment to convert their private debt onto the Moors, now called Negro, Black, and Colored held to servitude. Blah, blah, blah. Stop. And they re-registered, created another corporate shell in Guam and in Puerto Rico. That's where Puerto Rico comes in. So the United States Corporation Service Company, which is really a private corporation, has been perpetrated onto the people as the country. The country is really Morocco. The administrators of the Global Estate Trust under administrative operations of the Jesuit order is United States Service Corporation occupying Morocco. And so they've been perpetrating the United States as a country, and it's really the private administrative corporation, which is also why I gave you, for those contemporary, I gave you a copy of their registration in Florida and New York, United States Service Corporation, 1925. Now keep that in mind, 1925, Nobrali set up the old Canaanite temple as the Moorish Holy Temple of Science and registered as a civic organization. 1925. This is why them grand sheiks stay away from that stuff. The ones who are betrayed him. They will never talk that. Anybody got the literature?
Yes.
The Moorish literature?
Yes.
Give it to me in this guy carried the library. Yes, let me go right here. Let me go through my files. Go through the files.
On his back. Files on his back. All right.
You know, we're going to push a button, the thing shift around here. Next cabinet. Next cabinet. Well, anyway, yeah. So in the, I'm going to read you, and I want you to see, this is why I give you all documents. I want you to pay attention to the documents. Because when you pay attention to the documents, you can see the history, and you can see the processes of the theft of your estate, and you can understand the politics. And I say that most people do not understand the politics. Are we clear? Clear. And then a lot of times when you're talking or exposing this information, they often continuously keep thinking it's a belief. And it's actually your documented history. Now listen to this, you all. You'll find this in the Moorish literature, and this Moorish leader's historical message to America. That's the document. Are we clear?
What's the document, sir?
Moorish leader's historical message to America. But I'm reading the first two paragraphs, and that should tell you everything, and you can understand the politics. And then you can understand why I start sharing people the United States Corporation Company, which shows you it's a private corporation, privately owned. People in leadership keep telling us people, it's a country, it's a nation. You understand? All right, so here's the document. Moorish leaders' historical message to America in connection with the aims, objects, rules, and regulations of the Moorish Science Temple of America, I deem it proper to submit to you a brief statement of our organization covering its inception, rise, and progress, and of the Mohammedan religion, which I hope will be satisfactory to you and be a means of causing you at all times to adhere to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in your relations with mankind in general. And I further most anxiously hope this brief statement will help you to more clearly see the duty and wisdom of all times upholding these fundamental principles which are desired for our civilization, for our posterity, such as obedience to law, respect and loyalty to government, tolerance and unity. And this is the paragraph. We organized as the Moorish Temple of Science in the year 1925 and were legally incorporated as a civic organization under the laws of the state of Illinois on November 29, 1926. The name Moorish Temple of Science was changed to the Moorish Science Temple of America, May 1928, in accordance with the legal requirements of the Secretary of State of Illinois. So you can see the Moorish Science Temple came about not 1913, 1928. Are we clear? And once you want to, and it's a civic organization up until 1928. And that's when the religious affidavit was added to protect the properties of the people, to do the corporate business for the Moorish Temple of Science. And that's why when you see in, now give me the, yes. So here we go. Page book 521, page 579, and you already know this, but I'm just going to the heart of this because of time period. Right, the Moorish Holy Temple of Science held at Chicago in Cook County, state of Illinois, 20th day of July, AD 1928. For that purpose, the following persons were appointed sheikhs according to the rules and uses of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. But this is the whole point. The Moorish Holy Temple of Science adopted as its corporate name the following: Moorish Science Temple of America. So you see, the Moorish Science Temple of America was adopted to do the corporate business for the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, which is unincorporated and is a civic organization. Documented. And how many people keep on trying to make this mean something other than what it's saying? Go ahead. You got to get on the mic.
I think it's 3 minutes.
Yeah. Like me and a couple of nationals went to Walmart, right? And with the mindset that we're, getting the quote unquote their tax exemption card, of course reserving our rights on their fill out sheets, but we did it as Moorish Science Temple of America according to the 101095.
Yes.
I mean 1010-5905.
Yes.
So that's the way we should be operating in honor according to this authority.
Well, that's how you use it.
Exactly.
Because it's designed to do that. See, because you're not liable to it. But see, the Grand Sheiks and Assistant Grand Sheiks and the Sheikesses were supposed to have done that in all regencies, in all temples. See, because basically temples were supposed to be established in every state territory. And they are supposed to have been meeting with the heads of government, just like the prophet did. He showed the example. And to put these things in place so that the Moors would not be suffering the Negro Acts, which we are suffering the Negro Acts. However, and this is not with knocking them, it's just, the truth is what it is. And I just keep refusing to defend people who keep betraying the prophet and pretending that they're really representing the prophet, and then criticizing people who enforce constitutional principle, which they absolutely do. And it's evident all over the place, because the European sends them out as trolls, because, you already know the social controls. But when you go to the prophet's documents, it's very clear what this is and what this is not. Now, how many people have you heard in the name of being grand governors, supreme grand governors, and a whole bunch of other governors of the Moorish Science Temple of America have been going around the country saying that no Jwali do not teach civics? And there it is, clear as day, documented. So when you look at them FBI papers, you know what you're looking at.
Yes.
You understand, but you also know why the people are suffering. So in order to help rescue the people, that's why I go to documentation, because the main ones that will attack what I do is people called grand chiefs, because they got the titles. But they're operating under color. But people don't know that until they look at them FBI papers. So, yeah,
You gonna check? You only got 500 megs left. Okay. But the folder that I added to was
Taj,
the MHHS.
I was reading some documents and I was discussing with a couple of folks that was in the service. And we was discussing about their badge. It says United States Army, United States Navy. It didn't say American Navy.
they never will, because it isn't. See, this is why
American Army.
This is why they muddy the water. They will always mix America and the United States, because they want you to think that America is the country, and then put the United States in there. When you start treating it synonymous, you've abandoned your state. Are we clear? America's the land. The Americans are the copper-colored people. The United States is a private corporation registered in France that Lincoln bankrupted, now registered in Puerto Rico. And just went bankrupt again.
And bankrupted, that's right.
Are we clear?
They're bankrupt.
And it built multiple shells to continue to convert your estate. Are we clear?
So you can't be a United States citizen
That
and
means
American too. You gotta be
Exactly. They
either
don't
or.
go together. They do not go together. An American national is not a U.S. citizen, and a U.S. citizen is not an American national. Don't get it twisted. And I understand people's, concepts and misconceptions. However, what I just told you is the absolute truth.
For the record, Brother Taj Islam, I've been sharing with the family that they're going to need to start maybe at least bringing at least a 32 gig thumb drive just for future reference, because in assistance to Brother Taj, there's some added information that I think would further even help as well. And it is at least about 32 gigs of information that's very consistent and supportive of Prophet Noble Ali's mission here, which Brother Taj is clearly enforcing. So just for future reference, a 32 gig hard drive at least would be suffice for right now. And there's been a few nationals too, Brother Taj. I have been mailing the 32 gig hard drive. Like a few nationals been mailing the 32 gig hard drives to me, and I've been mailing them back so that all this information can be in your hands, and I'm charging nothing. Just send the hard drive, and maybe you guys can learn how to send mail via taxi per queue as well, as a silent class, as we're sending mail correspondence enforcing the Constitution via our first Bill of Rights. And I yield the floor, Islam.
Thank you, brother. Peace, be safe.
Go ahead, fill in while I'm transferring this stuff.
Islam.
Islam.
I do just want to just keep reiterating, and what is on my mind is it's very important for us to get these concepts, okay? That the reason why the concepts are so important because the strategy in which we approach in preserving our unalienable rights, it will govern us accordingly. I know you're hearing put things in a trust. Now, me being an HVAC technician by trade, okay, I have learned that with the cognition, the hands-on is great as well. Now, for example, you've heard me mention tax a per Q, for example, because you can actually go on USPS.com and order all of your shipping supplies for 0.00. You can get legal size envelopes, the PS Form 3811. You can also get the PS Form 3800. And what I will be doing as well in assisting our national family is showing you guys how to set up the tax a per Q envelope, okay? Because if you don't know how to send your mail and you don't understand why, for those that don't know, tax a per Q is basically postage paid. Now, I've been challenged myself. People have sent my mail back. There are other nationals here near the Baltimore Corporation with us that have done this as well. The thing is when you actually study certain USC codes, United States codes, okay? Because remember, whatever you put in the mail, it is overlorded by the Universal Postal Union at Bern, Switzerland, which is headed by the Director General, Bashir Abdurrahman Hussein, who's just as heavily carbonated, if you want to say it like that the brother's definitely a Moor. And all commercial transactions are overlorded by the UPU. The things that you're hearing here tonight are so that we can have the correct concept and how to approach in protecting ourselves. A lot of times, like I remember Brother Taj just said in a video, what we do, because we have been mistaught, we have been miseducated. What is important is to know when you're speaking alphabet. Like if I'm having a conversation right now and I'm speaking to you now, the canvas of my mind is the alphabet, but I'm not talking to you A, B, then come to C, because you know D, E, F. And Brother Taj actually verbalizes that in an actual video to show that we're not grasping the concepts pertaining to jurisprudence, which is the science which treats of positive law.
Yes.
So when we grasp these concepts, for example, and you're exercising something like tax a per Q, for example, you're doing it with the concept of mind that you're exercising your first Bill of Right to free speech and press, because it is against your realignment, which is religion. It is against your realignment with the cosmos and your civic duty, okay?
Right.
It is against that to be taxed, because even though you may have quote unquote transacted for, what's the transaction? Let's say you go to what they call the Dollar General, correct?
Yes.
So you go to the Dollar General and they tell you this will be 99 cents plus tax. The plus tax is clearly the sales and use tax. You're not in the position that must take care of the sales and use tax. So that's kind of one thing. The second thing is the actual 99 cents is taxed as well. Because the concept of mind,
Listen,
I yield the floor.
Excuse me just a minute.
All right.
Keep in mind, one of the things I was writing about, as a matter of fact, I was working on it this week, and I'm going to tell you the nature of it because I can't go to it immediately. Because usually I'll just go to stuff that I'm writing. But I actually work on 3 different computers, you know, and I separate stuff and then I put stuff together later. In relationship to what Skull and Bones and Knights Malta operative Franklin Delano Roosevelt did, understand by virtue of the action of 192, and I forget the, hold on, let me see if I can remember the issue here. Hold on for a second, give me a chance. Nope, not that one. Original trustees. Now, I want you all to pay attention to now, the governmental platforms operating in diametric opposition at North America, you must be very clear. Now, the United States Republic truths, these are comparatives, and I want you all to pay attention to this, all right? And make note on this, all right? Now, the United States Corporation Company, which is what you're dealing with. Now, Corpus Juris Secundum, CJS, is an encyclopedia of United States law at the federal level and at the states level. Corpus Juris Secundum is comprised of 164 volumes, 5 index volumes, and 11 table cases volumes. Now, these comprise over 430 topics which are arranged into subheadings for ancillary supports and for research purposes. And this is very important for you to be clear on. United States, discernment, distinction, and particularly specificity are primal considerations to be taken in serious regard to one's need of being very clear about the multiple meanings and applications of the political metaphor United States. In order to bring some clarity to the issue at hand, we will use one of the basic scholar tools and acknowledge its ancillary function in jurisprudence studies. The literary tool of note is Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary. The following definitions for United States are derived from the deluxe 4th edition, containing definitions of the terms and phrases of American and English jurisprudence, ancient and modern. Black's Law Dictionary, United States. This term has several meanings. United States may be merely the name of a sovereign occupying the position analogous to the other sovereigns in family of nations. United States may designate territory over which sovereignty of the United States extends, or the United States may be collective name for the states which are united by and under the Constitution, and then give you law case. So when you're talking United States, you better be very clear which one you're talking about. Are we clear? And so when people just say U.S., United States, U.S. democracy, United States, uppercase, small case, they're actually talking different United States. And also on the greater political platform, when you say United States, are you talking about Mexico? Are you talking about San Salvador? Are you talking about Brazil? Because they're all United States of America too. You know, and so this is how they trap people, making people think the United States is a country. You get the point? Now, while they make the sermon here, it's enough for you to understand that you must be specific. Although we could go further, this is documentation in law so that you can understand the specificity as is important. Now, but I wanted to, hold on, I wanted to show you some other thing. Let's see. All right, here you go. As an example of stare decisis, and you all know what stare decisis is, so we don't need to go into that. law may be found and examined in the Supreme Court decision rendered in the case of the United States versus Marion, C. Corpus Juris Secundum, Volume 20, subsection 1785. United States is a foreign corporation. You see? So write this down, y'all, so that you keep this very clear. When they tell you, you U.S. citizen, and you agree to that, then they have you as a foreign corporation. Of course, your property is hypothecated. So this is where it's very serious that you must be very clear on that. And so when you're talking about Puerto Rico is the United States. Corporation company, not a country. And you better be very clear on it. Failure to be clear on it, they can hypothecate your estate. And this also they've been doing. This is another reason why we keep emphasizing these things, so that when we construct any rights of claim or counterclaim to what they do, don't just use these words lightly. Be very specific. Now, what occurs is in the social engineering, they would present these connotatively. But when you make a claim against them, they go to the law. That's why our people keep losing. And I did this and I did that, and they didn't respect it, because their concepts are all wrong. You know, but the prophet told them their concepts are all wrong. He said, go to those who know law. Then the grand sheiks tell them, y'all didn't teach that civics and law stuff. And they've been getting away with it. They have. And our people have been suffering. And they've been getting paid in the background. You know, to keep this track going. Go ahead, Elijah.
So foreclosures are complaints by attorneys, and
Now, that's why the lawyers deal, so you can see what's happening, what their job.
right. So the in the Constitution, Article 1, Section 9, it says, no title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of the Congress, accept of any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind, whatever, from any king, prince, or foreign state.
Yes, and that's part of the nobility clause. You know, and so you can see why lawyers cannot hold public trust or office. Are we clear? And they have taken on titles of nobility that actually belongs to Moors, such as Esquire.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Well, you already know that. But you didn't have to ask me. You're doing it for the people, but you already know that. But once you understand those things, you will understand why Drali keep telling the Moors, help me in this great missionary work. Enforce our Constitution, y'all. And they keep on playing dumb. And they keep on listening to these people that keep on claiming to love the prophet. And they've been doing everything but that. They spend more time attacking people that's doing the work than they do getting work done themselves. Meanwhile, the people are suffering. They're losing property. They're losing their properties. They're losing the homes. You understand what I'm saying to you? Well, not because I'm saying it, because it's a fact. But the deal of it is, a lot of times people think you're being contentious when you expose this information because it contradicts what they believe or what they thought they knew. But it is what it is. You know, but the deal of it is, if someone doesn't compile this information and show it to them, our people are getting ready, they're being liquidated. They don't know they're being liquidated. And they need to be competent on their own right. Not because they come to a venue like this. They come to a venue like this, we share information, but they need to be actually competent on their own. You know, it's like this brother here. The brother, when they're messing with him, he's able to draft writs on his own merit. This is what I want everyone to be able to do, and even take this further than I've taken it. You understand? Because that's the way it's supposed to be. And particularly the next generation, you're supposed to bring it more perfect. See, so the prophet laid the foundation, and our responsibility is to build on it with competence, not with emotion, with competence, because they're living off your virtues. Now, again, what you all know, remind you right here, this is the law case. This is corpus juris secundum. United States is a foreign corporation. And it's not only just a corporation, it's a foreign corporation. So how many, it's in the law. And how many people keep on sitting and saying the United States is a country? It's because they've been trained to that. But when they say that, what they've done is given up their birthright. And see where ignorance is dangerous? And then when people go file and make what you call applications to them, they're actually giving up their birthright again. Are we clear? And the deal of it is the estate, can't be sold. It can be claimed. This is why all foreclosures are called abandonments. Because these people won't make reversion of their estate because they don't know to make a reversion. Because they think they own stuff. Now you understand the trust? Now you understand why you do a reversion statement? Because you're telling them that you do not stand as surety. Because as it stands, you're held as surety for their private debt. That's why they got to get you to agree to be U.S. citizen. As soon as you do, you've given them authority to transmit into their global estate trust in a name that sounds like yours, which is really is comprised of the geographical land areas now known corporately as the land northwest of the River Ohio. The Northwest Ordinance is also known as the Ordinance of 1787, which was an act of Congress of the Confederation of the United States, and that act was passed into law July the 13th of 1787. Now you see where that supersedes the adoption of the Constitution? And then, of course, you already know the treaty that Obama's talking about, 1790, and the original format was 1786. Then the adoption of the Constitution after the Ordinance 1787, reviewed 1787, ratified 1789, solidified 1788, 1789, and then George Washington was appointed and he began to dissolve our Bonnevilles and the estates and converted the estates into the states. And though George Washington was the 9th praetor or president, that's why he's given the honor of the first president under the republic, but he's not the first president. And it's to keep the people away from this real history. So it's the duty and responsibility of conscious Moorish Americans to make sure that the others know this history so they can claim their estate. Again, the Europeans, as you already know, are liquidating things as fast as they can now while these people are getting somewhat conscious. So those who are conscious must make a grander effort to make this information available. And this is why I say to you, don't get it twisted. We were talking earlier, I said this is the duty of all Moorish Americans to dispense this information. There ain't no such thing as, should I tell them this? I don't know this. Should I put this? What you mean? It's your duty, your responsibility. And like Drawley says, what? In relationship to this information, it says, take this to the four corners of the world, to all nations. It says, come and take your place among the affairs of men. Is that not an international law statement, or is it not?
Islam.
Right? Anyway, I hope we've done some good, and I hope you've learned some things. Whenever you come, always come with a flash drive. And what I'm going to do, we're getting ready to publish lesson book 14A1. That's the second half of 14A, 14. And within that, we'll have a lot of more information. And I had split the book in around 92 when I first published it because it was hard enough to get people to accept anything I was saying. Thought I was out to damn lunch. You know, it was true. You know, and you know, when people have belief systems, facts don't hold with them. They don't trust facts. They trust beliefs. And their training is in that area. And so you can't liberate them, not because you can't liberate them, because they're closed. If you understand, they're closed to real information. And they look at you, the person, instead of the information. You know, because we all have flaws. You know, so they get caught up in personality. It ain't the person. Pay attention to the knowledge and do research. See, so you got to make people responsible. But you also give them reference so they can't dismiss it. And when they're ready, the great master will appear. When the student is ready, the master will appear. He or she is called self. Right? All right, thank you all for coming out to the House of Reawakening Minds. And I want you all to send your energy to Dr. Naila, who was injured, and she's still presently in the hospital.
And raise the light.
And yes. Send your rays of light. Yes. Yes. And Dr. Naila, we love you. They all know we do. And and those of you who are listening, you know we don't beg. So we don't play that game. However, if there are any spare energies that you have of notes, send them to support of the house so that this can be maintained, because she's really incapacitated now. Yeah. Really losing that. Yeah. All right. Yes. But anyway, send your love to Dr. Naila. And for anything that you want to do positive for her in the house, go ahead and take it upon yourself to do so. So again, any more questions before we close out, you all?
Yes, sir.
All right, get in the mic, good brother. No rapping, though.
No, I'm old school, bro. I'm old school. Little some Temptations, you know that style.
All right.
You mentioned something about what's tacit perco. How you pronounce that?
No, tacit acquiescence. Tacit acquiescence, and this means in law.
T-A, what now? T-A?
Tacit, T-A-C-I-T.
C-I-T, okay.
That's the first word. Acquiescence, A-C-Q. Acquiescence. What that means in law is if you don't speak up for a right, as far as they're concerned, you've abandoned that right. If you don't speak up for a claim, as far as they're concerned, you abandon that right to claim. Knowing the fact that it's really an estate that's under European colonial occupation, the heir must show competence and revert their right of claim to the estate that has been hypothecated, because the Moors were declared dead at sea until proven otherwise, and thus they brought sea jurisdiction upon the land in violation of Constitution, in violation of treaty, in violation of fiduciary trust. But by the Moors agreeing to be Negro, black, colored, and Indian, they abandoned their right of estate, and therefore they could use the platform as booty and prize, which is exactly what they've been doing under Admiralty law. This is why Durali set up a trust. This is why we're telling you to set up a trust, since the Grand Sheiks have betrayed the Prophet. I don't want to talk about them. I'm just telling you the truth. And the Europeans are accelerating, liquidating people's estates. So I know they're going to come after your property, your savings accounts, and everything else. So if you think you're secure, you're not. And don't listen to Taji guy. Do the research of what I'm telling you. And you shall be out here like myself, on the hedges and the highways, and telling the people, and if you can do anything, at least you can put this thing in check. Save your family even if you're not willing to tell someone else. Because if you think that you're safe just because you're comfortable at the moment, I suggest that you do not hold your breath. Because you're in trouble even if they ain't got around to that chicken on the rotisserie yet. Because that's about what's happening. Are we clear? Okay. And those of you listeners out there, thank you for taking the time to do some research. And keep in mind, do research. You understand? You must become what you know. And you're going to need to, because consider this. As things take place and things are liquidated, which they are being liquidated, people who have this knowledge will not necessarily be able to come to your immediate rescue, because you should have done it already. Now, as far as the Moorish Science Temple of America is concerned, it is the proper order that was set up to execute the law. I don't have to tell you about what they're doing or what they don't do. You will find that out for yourself. However, you be that one who enforces the law. And if you choose not to, understand that there's a price that I'm sure that most of you are not prepared to want to think that you're going to pay this price. But you're going to be hit with some very uncomfortable situations. So for those who are learning, for those who are already learned, suggest you put some clean water away, put some secured food away, dry beans and stuff like that, particularly in the old galvanized cans that you don't see too much anymore, that are at the hardware store, so you can preserve some things, because the Europeans are going to try to starve you out. I'm telling you already. The prophet already told you, so I'm telling you again. And then, of course, you're going to have to get with other conscious people to start doing certain things relative to claiming your estate, which you could see in the King Alfred Rex 84. They were talking about the people not knowing who to associate with. All right, which means they'd be like the dog on a bed of nails whining, you know, when he needs to get his ass up, type of stuff here. Again, we trust that we've done or shared some things that can actually help you. And they'll also understand that these degrees are not for followers. These degrees are for people who are prepared to take responsibility. All right?
Islam.
So I'll close with saying this.
Islam.
Every man, every woman, every child must confess their own. Have a good night. Islam and peace.
Islam.
One quick recap, Brother Taj.
Yes.
One quick recap on that. So basically, like say my dad passed, left me a house. It's been vacant. The city attacks all these fees, or you got trash in the yard, or the grass ain't cut. Tax on all these fees, and says, Brother Taj, you owe $10,000 in fines and liens.
Yeah. Then you put a writ of error and a false claim of imposition.
Okay.
And then you have your liens that far supersede that, but you better put that house in the state because it's already hypothecated to the corporate state.
Okay.
That's how you supersede it. That's why I told you. That's what I was talking about earlier. You know, and then you put them on, whoever sent that, you sent a notice to them that they were trespassing.
Okay. Writ of error.
Yeah, and the trespassing. Charge whoever's making that claim with trespassing on your property.
Trespassing on my
Oh,
property.
yeah.
Right.
So if they said they did all that stuff, then show the evidence. And as soon as they show the evidence, and then try to give you a bill and say, oh, you're a trespasser, admit it. This is private property. See, but they're taking that as public property. You see the whole principle?
Yes. Right.
Public-private?
Yes.
And it's not the way people have been looking at this thing. However, if you don't have it in the state, it's considered public usage. And so this is how they do. They go do things, they'll go sweep the step, and then charge you 3,000 notes, and then put a lien on the property and do what you call an adverse possession. Are we clear? They do it all the time. You know, and so now you're burdened with a lien that you got to satisfy when you should charge them with trespassing and then put your lien in front of them. Except your lien is extreme. You just get these people to think. Hopefully. Yes. Yes, it's on the board. And
Tomorrow, y'all, if you know somebody, Cecil B. Moore, 16th season before the UNIA building. That's where it's at. It's the Marcus Garvey building. So you know we're gonna have fun with that. Marcus Garvey building. So we're gonna, after we show the final product film, we're gonna have a discussion on it. And then, I don't know, like the first time seeing the season before.
Yeah.
Tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
All right, that's in Philadelphia. Cecil B.
It's on the
Moore.
board.
Like you're on Broad Street, you're a few blocks down to the west, on the right side of the street. All right.
Yeah, coming up from Broad Street.
Yeah.
Right inside.
Don't mean to be redundant, brother. I got rid of error. What was that second and third title you mentioned? On this here, rid of error was the notice, rid of error. About
You must listen. What you want to do, and what everyone should do, is any so-called deeds that was given to them, or that in relationship to alleged property.
Right.
Understand the deed are really sharecropping instruments.
Okay.
Mortgages are sharecropping agreements.
Okay.
1913, as a countermeasure against noble duality, they converted all allodial titles and aboriginal titles to mortgages and deeds. Those did not exist at North America until 1913.
Gotcha.
Are we clear?
Okay.
Prior to 1913, they were all allodially held. Are we clear? So you must be made aware of that so that you take responsibility to put it back into its proper category. Failure to do that, which means, see, because if you're an heir, you knew it's allodial, under allodium. If you're not an heir, it doesn't dawn on you because you don't know the culture. You see the point? At that point, anyone who says they own anything have really abandoned their claim. See, this is why we emphasize these things, because it's really how they're operating.
So allodial, I mean, I must be allodial, or they're allodial?
No, listen. You're dealing with heirship property.
Right.
They get people to start talking about money,
Right.
which is not what's really going on.
Okay.
They get people to start talking about mortgage payments, which is not what's really going on. They encourage you to talk that way.
Right.
As soon as you do, they got you beat, because it's not what's going on. You're dealing with entries and exits into a Sister QV trust of a state, and with derivative bonds leaned against the estate for heirs who, for whatever their rationale, won't step up and claim their estate. Do you understand? They keep claiming to be Negroes, blacks, and colored Indians, thinking they're getting the benefit when actually it's an heirship issue.
Right.
They start talking money. They're not allowed to have money. They're dealing with private commercial papers. Then they call them dollars, which makes them liable and taxable, because it's private, for bookkeeping purposes only. That's why when you're doing the contracts, you say pure, private, pure trust contract. And then in lieu of lawful money for the United States, Article 1, Section 10, I make trade of my labor with such and such person in private contract for such and such work, and as a set-off, I accept under duress Federal Reserve notes imposed on us by the occupying administrators in breach of trust.
Okay.
Now you protect it. You made it private, and they can't tax you.
Okay.
Now I did that when I bought an Audi years ago up in state New York, and I drove it for quite a while with Moorish tags on it. And I left it actually at the house, at my sister's house, and my niece used to gold, and it had earphones for everybody in the car. You could separate radios for everybody. It was a nice car. But anyway, but now in the car, I had the contract, the pure contract transfer sale, private. And I had AA 2221, 141, 222, 141 in it. And I had the trade contract, because I had also did some work on their house for some contractors that had left some work undone. And so they gave me the car, which was really worth about 17 or 18,000 used for 2,200, right? So it was like a trade-off, because it was like wealthy people up there in New Paltz area. And so the car was a beautiful, beautiful car. But she got no tickets, and she didn't have a license either. No tickets, no nothing. And they couldn't claim anything because they had to cover it. They had to discharge all costs because they're trustees. We're heirs, and she's national too. But she didn't know. But I'm just telling you the difference. So whenever you're doing business and you're transferring those instruments, don't call it money. It's private commercial paper. You make a private, pure contract. Therefore, there's no tax in it. You got to think, that's how you start protecting yourself and people that you're doing business with. And then when the Inquisition priest comes after you, they call IRS guys.
Yes.
You don't talk trash, you talk shit. That's not.
I just wanted to. It's 2 notes. Was it 2 notes or 1 note?
Yes, 2 notes.
It's 2 notes for the incense on the table as well. Mother Abundance Child is still over there with that awesome, fresh juice over there. Go and grab that for 2 notes. Get something to drink on the way as you travel across your ancestral estate, as well as I think there's 5 CDs left too of the instrumentals, the Pioneer Activations 1437. And you can donate anything from 5 to $1 million for that. We'll take at least 5 notes for the instrumental CD. Alrighty, and that's about it. That's what we have right now. We have the incense for 2 notes. We have Mother Abundance Child from Drop Squad Kitchen, the fresh made juice. What did I have? I had the sorrel and lemonade. Say that one more time.
Peace, family.
Islam.
It's called High Red, hibiscus, ginger, and lemon.
All right, yeah, that's what I had. So get yourself something to drink, get some smell goods on the way out the door, and we also have the instrumental CD. Thank you so much, Brother Taj. Thank you, Brother Sabir Bey. We appreciate you so much, and thank you, family, for coming to the House of Reawakening Minds. And again, send your energy out to Dr. Naima.
Islam.
Islam. Peace and love.
Peace and love.